I like your new screen here.
Yeah.
So, it is a joy. It is an absolute joy to be here with you today at this energizing time of year, the emergence of spring, despite what's outside, a time of rebirth, and the first Sunday after the Easter celebration in Western Christianity. And today, in case you missed last week's idea about Easter and arising, today is actually Easter Sunday in Eastern Christianity. So, metaphysically, what has happened to us recently? Metaphysically, we've just gone through that Good Friday experience, that crossing out of old ways of thinking and being, and gone into that tomb experience where metaphysically we rest in that state of higher consciousness. And from that rested state, what happens? Easter, we arise. Our I am nature comes clearer than before. We claim it, we own it, we invite the universe to support us on that awakening. And now sometimes, you get to Easter like, okay, that's a celebration. But now we go into that liturgical season of Pentecost. And in Eastern Christianity, Pentecost is not just that one day. It's the complete 50-day period from their Easter to that day of Pentecost. And metaphysically, I thought this was so profound when I looked up Charles Fillmore and Metaphysical Bible Dictionary of Unity. And it says that Pentecost is the period where the ideas that we have meditated on and accepted as true spring forth into consciousness, becoming living realities instead of mere concepts. So you've been meditating on what? Peace, love, joy. What is it that you want more of in your life? You've been meditating on that, holding it dear. Now, the next part is you have to hold it true. If there's something in your mind not holding it true, we'll get to that. But, it's the time where that meditation, that truth comes together and arises. We get the fruits of ideas that we have planted in our mind. We have escaped the darkness and entered into the light. How exciting is that? It is our rebirth. Are you feeling it yet? So I invite you now to affirm with me some affirmations for today. So let's look at this first one. Let's say this together. My I am nature is born anew. Breathe. That I am nature, that divine within you, that you've celebrated the Easter for, that has arisen. I want you just to say it together with more oomph. All right. Together. My I am nature is born anew. All right. And the most profound of all I am affirmations, I am that I am. That state of pure being. That I am that is within us. Breathe. And now from a really quiet place within you, where you're speaking to your soul, I want you to whisper, I am that I am. Together, I am that I am. Now let your breath come up more. I am that I am. And now you're going to declare it to all of Lawrence. Together, I am that I am. We arise. We arise. This Easter celebration is ours. Powerful work. And now, this community, you feel it. There's a consciousness to this community. There always has been. It's this deep community consciousness that has been here for a long time, that has built this up, that has let us be this beautiful presence in Lawrence in the world. So now, I'm going to say some words, and I want you to repeat them after me. Unity of Lawrence.
Unity of Lawrence.
Your I am nature.
Your I am nature.
Is born anew.
Is born anew.
We're claiming that for this community. Unity of Lawrence.
Unity of Lawrence.
Your I am nature.
Your I am nature.
Is born anew.
Is born anew.
And so it is. A reading that I was guided to in this path of preparing for today is by a Zen master. His name is Shunryu Suzuki Roshi, and Roshi is typically a name of respect that goes for Zen masters. And he writes, each one of us must make his own true way, and when we do, that way will express the universal way of awakening. Each one of us must make our own true way. Just as we value the path, the lessons of our great spiritual teachers, Jesus the Christ, Buddha, Gandhi, Muhammad, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., so too we are to value our own way, our own path. It's just as sacred as all of them. It is important. It's important to our community, it's important to the world. And our path, the church's path, the community's path, doesn't need to look like everyone else's. We all have our unique callings, unique opportunities for expression. So a shift happened for me when I was preparing for today. I started off with this vision of this path, a walking path. Okay. Okay, somehow the walking path picture is still here. So, what was on the slide before was I went through a shift from the walking path to going forward on this path to learning, developing. And then the path became the path of a labyrinth, going around and around to the center of our being. And then that path became, with this resurrection, the awakening, the arising from within, a path onward and upward in our journey of spiritual awakening. So, that's our picture. So how do we begin? How do we begin this path of more deeply going on to our next level of awakening, finding each our own true way? We begin with a beginner's mind. Shunryu wrote, "If your mind is empty, it is always ready for anything. It is open for everything. In the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities. But in the expert's mind, there are few." Have we ever done that? Have we ever told Spirit, I'm doing it my way? We know where that gets us. But when we have that open beginner's mind, when we're really open when we go into prayer, when we really open when we put forth a thought, there comes our blessing. So, we're open with a beginner's mind. And then we may want to start from a true statement or a statement of intention. Unity's daily devotional booklet, The Daily Word, awesome. You can get it in the mail. You can get it here at church. You can get it online. It's often given me an affirmation that spoke so deeply to my heart, to my soul, that I ripped it out of the book, because I get it in the mail, ripped it out, and I pasted it up around the house. Because it was I don't want to miss this lesson. So we begin with the beginner's mind. We have that affirmation. And it could be something simple. It could just be, I am peace, I am love, I am inherently, you fill in the blank, whatever nature you give to that divine creative presence in the world that some people call God. It's about the journey to a greater path. It's not about fixing, it's not about struggling. It's about the journey to enjoying this life journey, a path to authentically experience peace, love, harmony, and to live a more fully from our true essence. A wonderful American spiritual teacher that comes from the San Francisco Bay Area that has many writings and books out there that have blessed my life. This one comes from True Meditation. And the chapter is entitled, Let Everything Within You Reveal Itself to You. He writes, since the nature of our entire being is to awaken, when we allow everything to be as it is in a deep way, what often happens is that repressed material in our minds, within our psyche, emerges. In fact, a lot of spiritual students unconsciously use their meditation techniques to keep repressed material repressed. It's kind of safe there, isn't it? Right. They may not know that they are doing this, but this is what is happening. And he writes, the point is to wake up to the reality of our being, and we do so by relating with our human nature, not by avoiding it, not by going around it. We wake up by letting everything within ourselves reveal itself, be felt, be experienced, be known. Then and only then can we move to a deeper level. So we wake up by letting everything within ourselves reveal itself to us. This, my friends, takes courage. So those thoughts that come up, those errant thoughts that sometimes we want to press down, Shunryu Suzuki writes, you should rather be grateful for the weeds you have in your mind, because eventually they will enrich your practice. Anyone have any weeds, any errant thoughts in their minds that come up? I know I certainly do. Shortly after Sharon and I had a chat about me speaking here in April, I had this sense that there would be something in the Daily Word message for today that would speak to me and part of my talk and my path. And sure enough, a week later, the universe didn't waste any time. A week later, I received the March-April Daily Word. I turned to today's date, and it says, I am always comfortable in the midst of the day's pressures and challenges. I am always, that's the word that popped out at me. I am always comfortable in the midst of the day's pressures and challenges. I was like, who wrote this? I wanted to call them up on the phone. I know they don't tell you, but I still wanted to call them up. I was like, has this person ascended? I was like, I kind of made this agreement with the universe that I'd be lining up with this, and it was like, man, I get called on my stuff. There it is. You put it out there, you get called on your stuff. I was like, oh, no, not that. Workday pressures. That's what popped in my mind. The universe has a sense of humor. Even though I know I'm much more comfortable with workday pressures than I was in my early 30s, at times there is a level of anxiety that comes up more often than I want it to, and it just knocks me off my center. You have anything that knocks you off your center? And there it is. The universe calling me on it. So Spirit is getting my attention and presenting an opportunity for me to go deeper. And that's how it happens. We get an inspiration, something calls us. It's an opportunity to come up higher. As I was working with this talk, I was thinking about people that have been very brave and willing to go deep within and be still and real about what was pushing up against them And they ended up creating their own true way, which ended up in turn helping others on their unique path. Some people that come to mind are Shawn Achor, author of The Happiness Advantage. And certainly the second one, the woman that we are reading about in Sharon's class, Dr. Brené Brown, who experienced childhood challenges and went on to become one of the bravest and most profound social scientists of our time. Another is Glennon Doyle Melton, author of Love Warrior, whose challenges with perceived lack of acceptance by her own self and others went on to write so authentically about relationships. I'm not a fast reader. And when David saw that I was done this book in 2 days, he was like, wow. I just couldn't put it down. It's so authentic. And then there is Janine Roth, who a lot of people know from her most well-known book, Women, Food, and God. And she reveals her willingness to go deep with her challenges with emotional eating. These people have modeled tenaciously following one thing deeply and letting it transform them, and in turn, transforming others and the world. One example with Glennon, she writes, I didn't know that everyone feels the hot loneliness. I didn't know that it would pass. So for the next years, every time anger or fear or loneliness started bubbling up, I reached for an easy button. A book, a binge, a beer, a body, a shopping spree, Facebook feed, to shove it back down. I'd press that button and find myself metaphysically, magically transported to a pain-free place. Distracted, numbed, underwater, gone. That's how she dealt with it. And then she realized, maybe my reliance on numbing is keeping me from the two things I was born for, learning and loving. I could go on hitting those easy buttons until I die and feel no pain. But the cost of that decision could be that I'll never learn, love, or be truly alive. Pain and love are places I must be brave enough to visit. My courage will come from knowing I can handle whatever I encounter there, because I was designed by my Creator to not only survive pain and love, but also breathe, but also to become whole inside of it. I was born to do this, she writes. I am a warrior. And on this journey, one of the big things I want to leave you with is looking at feelings and reactions. So as you're willing to do this work to go deep, a feeling comes up, you feel it in your body, you enter that feeling, you welcome it. What does it have to teach me? And notice that when you're in that feeling, if your consciousness wants to automatically shift to a reaction, the reactions to our feelings are where we get ourselves off track. The reactions are where we tell the stories to ourselves. The reactions are those weeds in our minds, and we're not pulling up those weeds. What are we doing? We're spraying Miracle-Gro on those weeds. We're like, I'm not good enough, spray, spray. I'll never be strong enough, spray, spray. Wise enough, rich enough, spray, spray. No, we're going to stop that right now. This spring, this awakening, this rebirth, we are pulling up those weeds. When it comes up, shout them down, as one of these authors wrote. Shout them down, scream at it, shut it down, tear out that weed. Because we are awakening. We are awakening, we're setting the intention, we're making the commitment, we're claiming our I am birthright. Welcome to your Easter. Welcome to your I am. Welcome to your journey to Pentecost, to let those divine ideas come forth in reality in your life. And so it is.